the earlier that you start weight training and resistance training and building your muscles, not to be a bodybuilder or anything, but any form of exercise, even walking. Walking is the best exercise you can get. You move all your joints. You keep your muscles healthy and strong. Just picking up any form of exercise and not sitting as often, you're prolonging your life.
Well, I'm super excited, easy for me to say, super excited to be here today. I'm Kathleen Gage with VeganPreneurRevolution podcast show. I'm here with V-Lynn Hawkins, the co-host of VeganPreneurRevolution. And we are here with Alex Nerus, who is your vegan mentor. We were talking before we actually started this episode about generations and how plant-based eating can actually benefit any generation. There's about a 50-year spread between us and Alex, which is kind of interesting. And yet we're all vibrant and healthy. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you stay vibrant and healthy and how you run a vegan business. So with that, V-Lynn, I want to welcome you.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm really excited because, Alex, I'm curious to know how it is that you grew up. You know, I happen to mention you're about my grandson's age, and, you know, getting on this path in your life at such a young age is, first of all, remarkable. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And second of all, I just am curious to know your story. You know, how'd you grow up? What took you on this path? I know you worked for PETA for a little while. Tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah, thank you. It's a real honor to be here. A pleasure to be here and be talking with y'all. I grew up in a Ukrainian household. I'm first generation citizen here. So my first language is Russian. Grew up with a lot of animal-based foods in my life and no vegans around me. I didn't even know the term veganism until when I was 17, my freshman year of college, honestly. One of my friends had decided to go vegan, and at that point I didn't know anything about it, but I had judgments about it. And a couple months later, I was just curious about how vegan bodybuilders get protein, and ended up looking up vegan bodybuilders on Google, and so many people came up, like Nimai Delgado, Brian Turner, and a podcast came up about environmental destruction that is caused by animal agriculture. And I'd say I was a pretty sustainable person my whole life. I was really conscious about recycling and not using as much plastic, not using plastic bags when I went to the grocery store, even bringing my own Tupperware to restaurants so I could reuse my Tupperware for products. So learning about the immense water consumption, water and air pollution, and environmental destruction like deforestation really just opened my eyes and shocked me. And I learned in that podcast that being vegan is the most impactful way to prevent environmental destruction. So I couldn't close my eyes to that again. And that day I decided to go vegan. Started the day off with a turkey sandwich. That's what I was eating when I started listening to that podcast. But yeah, and I just felt the immense health benefits. I had more energy. I was sleeping better. My digestion was better. I just felt more vibrant, more alive. And that's really what started my journey as a vegan.
That is awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, because there are a lot of people your age that are coming into understanding about veganism and understanding it in a more conscious and impactful way. Mm-hmm. So again, congratulations on that. And our generation are actually looking so forward to locking arms with your generation and helping this movement to really gain traction and move forward in such a powerful and impactful way that we know that it can. And so, yay!
That's a big yay. And I'm curious, what is your generation called? You're in your early 20s. So because I'm thinking V for vegan, but what would your generation be called?
I believe it's Gen Z.
Okay.
Not 100%, but
Okay.
we'll say we're all in the Gen V generation, the three of us.
Well, we're in the baby boomer generation, definitely.
Yeah.
And, but it's so interesting because I think there's a level of awareness with your generation that there just wasn't with ours, but there are a few of us that are kind of leading the charge. And that's why we call this the VeganPreneur Revolution, because we're leading a charge, we're leading a revolution. And now, you were with PETA for a little while. I know that there was somebody who influenced your decision to actually start a vegan-based business. So tell us about the whole transition from I don't want to just minimize it to say just being vegan, but being vegan to where you actually decided to move into the business space with being vegan.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I've always loved talking about veganism with people, and how you just said with creating a more conscious and compassionate world. I'd say that's my ultimate mission with doing the coaching that I do. I do really want to help clients open up their eyes to the multitude of health benefits that veganism has to offer. But also my ultimate goal is to just spread more compassion in the world. Coming from working with PETA and understanding the animal welfare aspect of it and participating in a lot of animal rights activism, I just really saw when I understood the sentience of animals and I could really empathize with animals and what they experienced, I feel that it made me even more compassionate to people of different backgrounds and different stories from me. And I feel it just made me an even more compassionate and aware person than I already was. And I could spread that kindness to others. So that's really my ultimate goal, of just creating a more compassionate and kind world. And I really just want to help improve people's health, improve people's relationship with themselves, the environment, the animals. And that's why I started my business, just to help people not only easily transition, but also open their eyes up to all these three aspects.
Nice, nice. And when you work with your clients, describe to us who your ideal client is, because one thing that V-Lynn and I do with our clients is we help them to get really clear on who are you even doing business with. And if somebody says, oh, anybody who wants to be vegan, it's kind of like, no, that's not necessarily so. So I know that you have gone through a process to really define who your ideal client is. Who would that be?
I would say somebody who wants to live a conscious life, whether that's understanding how foods impact their health and wanting to be a conscious consumer and improving their health with what they have on their plate, or being conscious towards the planet or animals. I can see how that can span a lot of people, but I think just the approach to veganism of I want to be a conscious consumer, that is where the people that I would love to work with and really help them hone into what their why is and what their reason is.
Excellent.
So are you finding that you're attracting more people your age, or, are you having more conversations with people in, say, your parents' age group, and you're opening eyes there? So tell us a little bit about how it is that you are kind of searching for or having your clients find you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for the question. I lead a couple of webinars every month. I educate people about how to cook vegan proteins, about different resources of how to go vegan, documentaries, books, the tips of slowly transitioning to a vegan lifestyle. I'm leading one actually this Thursday about fiber and how it's the most overlooked nutrient in the American diet, how it can lower blood pressure, blood sugar, bad cholesterol in your body. So I do lead my webinars. You can find me at Your Vegan Mentor on Eventbrite. I also have my Instagram, which is Your Vegan Mentor 1, and I post a lot of tips on going vegan there. I would say the majority of my clients so far have been middle-aged and a little bit older. I helped one client. She is a lady. She was 68. She has type 2 diabetes, and I was helping her include more fibrous foods in her life to lower her blood sugar. And actually, within a couple of months of working together, we were able to lower her blood sugar from 7.0, which is the minimum that the ADA recommends, to 6.8 just by changing her diet, which was amazing. Yeah, I was beaming when she told me that. So some older folks and also people middle-aged. I recently have helped a few people with after leading my webinar on vegan proteins, I had a few people approach me that wanted to learn how to cook more vegan proteins. So tempeh, tofu, seitan, legumes, beans, and how to eat just a more well-balanced diet. So I was customizing recipes for each of them, helping them find vegan products in the stores, and helping them meet their nutritious goals and their protein goals.
I love that. And especially the conversation about fiber, because we were having a conversation with Dr. Will Busevich. I never can pronounce his name, Dr. B, who wrote Fiber Fuel. And I mean, he's like a world-renowned expert on fiber. And oftentimes people, the first question they'll ask when you say, oh, I'm vegan, they go, where do you get your protein? And the better question is, where do you get your fiber? Because most people are so fiber deficient. And what are some ways that, since we are on the conversation of nutrition, and I love what you shared about the woman who reversed some of her numbers on diabetes, because every time I go to the grocery store, I get frustrated, but I get hopeful, because I usually have conversations with people at the grocery store. But you look at the amount of obesity, you look at the amount of people that are using devices to help move around in their 40s and 50s, where that was a thing. I actually, it was just this morning, I went on a run near the river, stopped at a grocery store to pick up some tofu. And honestly, I thought this man was going to die next to me. He was that sick, and he was grunting and groaning just to reach something. I said, can I help you? And I was truly, truly concerned. And I was saddened to see that this is how this man has basically ended up living. And it's not a quality of life. And so I'm really glad to hear you say that. So how do you advise your clients on getting more fiber? What are some simple strategies?
I would say switching your carbs to more whole grain carbs. So eating brown rice or wild rice over white rice, eating quinoa over rice sometimes, instead of eating white bread or even whole wheat bread, looking for multigrain bread or Ezekiel bread. I love Ezekiel bread. It's a complete nutrient because it's made out of sprouts and legumes, and it has 5 grams of protein per slice. And it's actually gluten-free because there's no flour in it. Eating starchy carbs like potatoes, sweet potatoes, Japanese potatoes. Trying to have a plate where half of it is vegetables, whether that be broccoli, Brussels sprouts, butternut squash. I like to make a mix of red onion, pepper, carrot, and zucchini or cabbage, and then having a quarter of your plate be your carb and the other quarter of your plate be your protein, so that it's all balanced.
We need to hang out with you more. Let you cook for us. It's like, oh my gosh, this young man really knows what he's doing. But I love it. I love it because everything you shared, those are things that I put in my diet, and in the past I never did. It's so amazing. And I know V-Lynn's got lots of questions to ask you. But what I find amazing is when people say, "Oh, I could never eat vegan," and interestingly enough, they probably already are eating what's called vegan foods, and it's simply eliminating animal and dairy and increasing those healthy fiber foods that you mentioned that also have protein in them. So V-Lynn, I know that you've got lots of questions.
Well, thank you, Kathleen. I do, because it always intrigues me to find a young person who likes to cook.
I love to cook.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So we were talking about, of course, the fiber, totally, like in my book, the most important thing too. But, this question about protein comes up all the time. And one of the things that I know that has people hesitant is fixing stuff like tempeh and tofu. And so give us a couple of ideas of what you do. Do you actually get in the kitchen and do these demos and walk people through how to make a dish that includes some of these proteins that we're talking about?
I have not done a demo yet, but honestly, it's on my list of webinars to lead, is to do a cooking demo. I would say my favorite protein is tofu, just because it's bland and it's easy. It's easily flavored in any way you like. You can have it sweet, you can have it savory. I've made high protein puddings with tofu, even using silken tofu. I did vanilla protein powder, silken tofu. I put mango in there, some nutmeg, cinnamon, and blend it all up with some maple syrup also to sweeten it, and it came out delicious. I just kind of threw things together, but it was incredible. Can make ice cream that way. You can cut it into strips. You can throw it into your chili or crumble it into a tofu scramble. I'd say tofu scramble is one of my favorite meals. Yeah, I just love how much variety you can get out of tofu.
I love it too.
And
Kathleen?
Yeah,
also,
well, actually, I was just thinking what I did for my kind of breakfast lunch today, which, you know, when you turn vegan, sometimes you have dinner for breakfast and breakfast for dinner. And what I had it was around 10 o'clock. I went on my run and got the tofu, came home, and I actually baked. I got a firm, not an extra firm, but a firm, and I broke it up and I put some nice seasoning in it to make it like a taco seasoning. And then what I did is I baked it both sides I crumbled it up so it was like crumbles, and 20 to 25 minutes on each side, 400. And then I put that into a salad with red onions, with garbanzo beans, with pumpkin seeds, with chia seeds, with flax seeds, and mixed it up with a red wine vinegar dressing. And oh my gosh, I am stuffed right now. But the thing about getting stuffed as a vegan, you don't get stuffed like when you're eating junk food. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
and also
go
animal products too. When I had first gone vegan, right before I went vegan, when I listened to that podcast, I started to eat a lot of protein. I started a bulk, so eating more calories than I was burning in the gym because I was trying to gain more muscle.
Right.
I was eating so much meat, like 4 to 6 chicken breasts a day, starting my morning off with eggs and turkey sausage on a bagel and turkey sandwiches for lunch, and the lean meats. But I was eating so much, and after every single meal, I felt so heavy and bloated for like 2 hours. I felt like I needed to take a nap. And then after when I went vegan, or even just within the first 2 weeks of just including more beans, like my meals were not very professional in the beginning. I just kind of threw in together what I had in the pot. So like peas and beans and quinoa. It was really just like a lot of carbs, not that much protein. But even with that, I felt light after a meal. And now I have a meal that's 600-700 calories, and I'm good to go. I'm energized, but I feel full. And I think that also, it definitely comes from the fiber of it all also, because fiber is so filling. And fiber is also great, not only for your digestion, but also to help maintain a healthy weight, because when you eat a lot of fiber, it fills you up quickly, so you don't want to eat anymore.
Right.
So I totally agree with you.
And let's be real on this. And you have good poops. I mean,
that's true.
one thing that Dr. B talked about. And he said people are so afraid to talk about bowel movements, and it's like it's a natural part of life. And yet, when people are eating carnivore diets, they're bloated, they're stopped up and everything. And when you're vegan, you have no problem with
days.
I know.
But I want to remind people
regular poops.
Regular, and what a great topic.
You don't have to take a laxative to have regular poops.
Exactly. Just eat some veggies. You'll be all good.
There you go. And I want to remind people that you are listening to the VeganPreneur Revolution show. I am Kathleen Gage, your co-host, with V-Lynn Hawkins, who is the co-host. And I want to encourage you, please subscribe to this channel, leave a review, and check out our website at VeganVisibilityProductions.com. That's VeganVisibilityProductions.com, where you'll find our products and services. We do coaching with people. We do consulting. We put complete social media programs together. So I want to encourage you to do that. And Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at yourveganmentor.com. Again, that's yourveganmentor.com. You can also look at my Instagram. It's yourveganmentor1, the number 1. And check me out. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm curious, you talked about bodybuilding because both Vlyn and I, in our day, we were bodybuilders. And I know Vlyn, did you compete, Vlyn?
I did some competitive
Okay.
bodybuilding.
Wow, that's epic.
And I got close, and I had a coach who wanted me to do steroids, and that was kind of the end of that relationship. But for me, I know how important weight training and resistance training is, especially as we get older. It's amazing how many people our age don't do any kind of physical activity. And you're very into weight training. You're into bodybuilding, Alex. Tell us what motivates you around that. And for people who say, oh, I just couldn't go into the gym, especially women, they go, I don't want to get big muscles. And it's like, you have to work really, really hard to get big muscles, and you're never going to get really huge unless you do steroids. So with that being said, what is your recommendation to people who kind of resist any kind of physical activity, but you know that it's going to make a huge difference to them?
I'd say just thinking about your future self. That man who you referred to when you went grocery shopping for your tofu, and he was struggling to get around, and he was groaning, and low quality of life. The earlier that you start weight training and resistance training and building your muscles, not to be a bodybuilder or anything, but any form of exercise, even walking. Walking is the best exercise you can get. You move all your joints. You keep your muscles healthy and strong. Just picking up any form of exercise and not sitting as often, you're prolonging your life, and you're prolonging how active you can be in your older years, how active you can be with your kids and your grandchildren. I would say just really look deep into yourself and think about your future and the future of those around you.
And like Vlyn said, it's so nice that you're doing this at your age, quite seriously, because it's like a lot of people don't realize that we're living longer and longer. And a lot of that has to do with, the prolonged medication that they give people instead of living longer because we're healthy. So I just really want to congratulate you on that. So Vlyn?
Thank you.
So I have a question for you. Have you considered going back into your alma mater and speaking with some of your professors, maybe to say, I'm doing this. I'd love to do a presentation for your class. And, it could totally be unrelated, but it's all related, right? And so, because for us, we know that it is your generation and the generation that's going to come behind you and the one that's in front of you that's really going to help us to have the bigger impact in this movement. And so one of the things that I want to do to promote, to prompt, is those of us who do have those connections to figure out how we can utilize them. Have you thought about doing something like that?
Honestly, not yet. You're giving me a lot of ideas, Vlyn.
Okay.
That's a great idea, Vlyn. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, that's awesome. I feel like that could be something I could definitely do. I'm pretty close with a few of my old professors. And even though my alma mater is speech therapy and completely unrelated, it is related. I mean,
I'm going to give you a little pushback there, Alex, because it is related. And I'll tell you why. Just a few days ago, we lost my aunt who was 91, but her quality of life had gone downhill several years ago, and a direct result of what she ate. She had dementia. She had had a few strokes. She had heart disease. She had lung cancer. She had breast cancer. I mean, you talk about a poor quality of life. This woman definitely had it. And it got to a point that she couldn't talk very well. And so that would be connected with speech therapy, which is connected with what people eat. So I want to give a little pushback on that. And I want to invite you, as Vlyn said, think of ways that you can actually introduce what you're doing to different groups of people. And think of, okay, what did you get your degree in? And how can that connect with what people consume? And because strokes are a direct result of what people eat, dementia.
And there are more. I'm sorry, Kathleen.
Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say there are more people at younger ages having strokes these days. And with that major, that's a perfect inroad to speaking to that population, those students. Because this is one way to not just help those who are on the other side and already had an incident that requires their assistants, but it also gives them a platform to talk about what can be done to help speed up the healing process behind it and prevent any further incidences going forward for patients, clients, for themselves. We're all who are in this space of eating the wrong things, or
Right.
I'll say eating meat and dairy, in a position where that could happen to us at any moment in time.
That's so true.
So yes, absolutely. And I would say it's good for that, you know, if you were in a math class or a science class or any other class, there is still a connection that can be made so that it opens the door for this kind of conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. I really appreciate your idea on that, and also your insight, Kathleen, and bringing that to my awareness. I hadn't connected it that way, because it's true. I mean, a lot of what we covered in my classes was stroke, dementia, traumatic brain injury as well. But with stroke specifically, I mean, diet is preventative healthcare. You know,
Right.
it's so much more effective than sitting on medicine for years that you don't want to be on, remembering about it. It has so many side effects. You know, at the end of the commercial where they go for a little bit and they're talking about the 5 things
Yes.
that's going to help, and then there's like 20 things that they're just going through and
At
rambling
least.
about. Yeah.
It's disgusting. It is. And
yeah.
now they're doing 2 meds in one commercial. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but they're doing 2 meds in one commercial. It's like, really? And pretty soon it'll be 3 and 4. And it's like, oh my gosh. And we have just become so conditioned to that. So one of the reasons that we wanted you to come on the show is because you are an example of what is possible. Because when you look at about 40 to 60% of people your age are already overweight, many are obese, and you're a living example of what is possible, because unfortunately we've been conditioned to believe that overweightness is the norm, and we've been conditioned to believe that medication is the norm, which leads back into your business. As you are looking at growing your business, where do you see it going in the future? What would you like to see happen with your business? And just give us kind of a 30,000 foot view of what your plan is.
Well, first and foremost, I really just want to help more and more people. So I'm really excited for all the future clients who I work with, and just help people incorporate this lifestyle into their life. But for my business specifically, I would really love to hire coaches like myself to do coaching in different cities and around the world, and just really expand this to a larger community, and have weekly group calls with people, and just for me to be running a business of other coaches who are helping people as well, and just spreading the impact.
I love it.
I love it too. And I want to just throw it out there to you that, you know, you're so close to the college campus impact opportunity, that is a great place for you to start. I could see you going around handing out flyers, you know, come to my webinar if you felt this or experienced that or had a relative this, or, you know, there's so many ways that you could approach that really gives you the ability to open the eyes of a younger peer group. And those could be your coaches.
Definitely. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Another brilliant idea.
You know, and another good idea tied into what V-Lynn just said. And this is what we do. We can't help ourselves. It's like we're marketers, and between the two of us, we've had decades of experience in marketing and in the digital marketing space. And another thing that you can do, because it's becoming more and more popular again for people to go to actual in-person presentations, but your local chamber would be another one. You know, that even if you're not a chamber member, they may be interested in you coming and talking to. Now, it's interesting because I used to go to our greeters meeting. It was once a week, and it was at 7 a.m. in the morning. And the biggest thing that they had out on the buffet, bacon. They had trays and trays and trays of bacon. And that was back in the day that I was a carnivore. And I got to tell you, my plate was filled up with that. And I'm saddened that I was so ignorant back then. And so again, it's so wonderful that you're leading the charge with the youth of what is possible, because we desperately need it. I mean, the world is in a world of hurt, and we need it for the environment, for the animals, for our health. Now, leading into with the animals, how important is compassion to animals for you? Because I know you worked with PETA for a while. Is that equally important as health, or does it take back seat to that? What's the story on that, Alex?
It's a good question. I've never been asked that before. I feel that the 3 pillars of veganism, of health, environment, and animal agriculture, are all equivalent for the most part. But I feel that animal welfare almost underlies the other 2 because it's based on compassion. And like I was saying in the beginning, when somebody can empathize with an individual, an animal who they cannot understand the language of, and they just have to look into their eyes and see that soul behind them, I feel that they can extend that compassion towards other people, the environment, their health. It just really comes back to being conscientious about how you are treating the person, the environment, your health. And yeah, I really think that veganism in these 3 pillars and based on animal welfare is the key to a more compassionate world that we all need, especially with everything going on nowadays.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So, in the next couple of months, what is it that you have planned? I know you said you have your webinar coming up on Thursday, right?
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about that.
Within the next couple of months.
And the next couple of months, yeah.
Well, this webinar on Thursday is about fiber, like I said. I really just want to help people understand the connection between their gut health and the gut microbiome, teach them about how it can decrease blood sugar, blood pressure, lower cholesterol. I'm going to talk about how I help my client with type 2 diabetes lower her blood pressure, how it can help with weight management. I'm going to talk about different foods that are high in fiber and how to incorporate them easy into your diet. So that is the plan for this webinar. There will be future ones coming up. Definitely I'm going to run another one on vegan proteins and how to cook them, how to get all the essential nutrients, and why protein is important also. So yeah, that is for the webinar this week. In the next couple of months, I'm actually moving to Tampa, Florida. So I'm going to be doing some tabling there, and I really want to go to a few health events, talk to people there, and really just spread my mission out there and hope to meet some people who are curious about being a conscientious consumer and improving their health and helping them in their journey.
Excellent. Excellent.
Awesome.
And what you might want to look for are the veg fests that take place in the area and any of the VLIN, what is it? The pods. Is it PCRM?
PCRM now is the home of the plant-based pods. And you might consider, this is another way to get yourself out there and get to know people in the community. You might consider becoming a pod leader. And that's basically inviting people to a particular location. Some people have it at the park under one of the what do you call the things? The canopies. They're called some gazebos.
Gazebo.
And you at your house, you know, at somebody else's house, and do a potluck. And, you know, initially where people don't know how to fix plant-based meals, maybe you do them all, and maybe, you know, collect $1 per person or $5 per person and provide all the food, and then have that as an opportunity to teach people how to do raw vegan food, vegan dishes. And then, you know, once it's time to go indoors, then you can go to the kitchen and teach them how to cook certain things, or use a video to show while you're out there so that people can see how to prepare certain meals. I mean, that's a great way, especially going to someplace new, to get yourself known, and pretty darn quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've never heard of the PCRM pods that they've had. I share to my clients about PCRM.org very often, just because they have so much health information on there and conduct studies on how vegan foods impact your health. Yeah, so I'll definitely look into that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're the home of the Food for Life instructors. And they just recently, the end of last year, took over managing the pods from Nelson Campbell's
Mhm.
organization. So you'll hear more about them soon, but it's a great way for you to use that as an opportunity to get connected in your new communities.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, and check and see if there's anybody connected with the National Health Association. There's so much going on that what's really exciting about bringing all of this together is more and more people are collaborating and sharing ideas, which actually leads to my next question, Alex. You mentioned books and documentaries. If you were advising a client on 3 books to read and 3 documentaries, let's take the best of the 3. What would be 1 book and 1 documentary that you would recommend to a client to get them started? And not necessarily the shock value documentary, because I think sometimes that can turn people off, but what would be the health documentary you would recommend?
I would say Eat to Live Twin Experiment. It just came out on Netflix. It's a Stanford University study, a 6-week long Stanford University run study, where they take twins and they put one on a healthy omnivore
Yes.
diet and one on a healthy vegan diet, and they just compare their medical results over the 6 weeks, and it's really eye opening.
Okay, and what would be a book that you would recommend?
Hmm.
You can use the same title, Eat to Live. I mean, that actually was the one that got me
True.
started. That was the one with Dr. Joel Furman. And, you know, it's so funny because one thing I have to tell you, Alex, about this community is that you're reading a book and you go, oh, I just love to meet that person. Well, I said that when I actually read that book, Eat to Live. It's like, oh, I would love to meet Dr. Joel Furman. Well, now we're in a membership group with him.
Wow.
We've interviewed him on podcast shows. I mean, you know, it's
We've met
kind of
him
like,
live. Mhm.
it's so welcoming and embracing because we're all after the same thing, which is to raise awareness, have more compassion in the world, work on, you know, on doing what we can to heal the environment and definitely heal our health. So in
Absolutely.
closing, my final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and have one thing happen to grow your business, what would that one thing be in addition to what you already shared about your business?
To just meet more people who are curious and ready to make the switch. Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
I'm
And
just
Janine?
ready to, I'm here to help. Also, I
Awesome.
wanted to mention, I do offer within my one-on-one coaching, I do offer a 10-week program where I teach people all the basics of being vegan. So the first couple weeks, we talk about your mindset and you're finding your reason why. I think that really honing in on your reason why is what keeps you motivated and empowered when you do decide to eat vegan each day or whenever you decide. I teach you about how to create a balanced plate, how to transition to a vegan kitchen, how to prepare vegan proteins, about macro and micronutrients, how to dine out and find vegan restaurants while you're traveling in your city, how to navigate social interactions with non-vegans and going to holiday parties or being in a family event. And just living a vegan and cruelty-free lifestyle. Like I educate you on vegan alternatives to beauty, clothing, food, and food
Nice.
products, obviously. Educate about entertainment and various industries that use animals as commodities. So yeah, I do offer that program, and also I offer just a one-on-one program based on your needs. For instance, like the people who I worked with who just wanted to incorporate more protein into their life, that all started because one person approached me and said, hey, I really want to learn how to eat more protein. Can you help me with this? So whatever you're struggling with your plant-based journey, I will absolutely help you figure out a way on how to incorporate it easily into your life and answer any question that you have.
I love it. I love it.
That's fabulous, Alex. It
Thank you.
really is. And as you were talking, I had a question and it's totally gone now. But I'll close with this, and I'd like to ask you to just share with our audience one piece of advice that you would give to help them to just remember to keep moving forward. Just keep don't stop. Keep going. Don't stop, without using those words.
Yeah, no. I would say just be proud of yourself on the journey that you're on, and be proud of the future that you want for yourself, and keep pouring into the future that you want for yourself, and taking the steps each day to attain and become the person who you want to be.
I love it.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Alex, thank you so much for being here with us today. I have really enjoyed this conversation with you. And
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with y'all. Please check out the VeganPreneurRevolution. These are on fire.
Yes, thank you so much.
you.
You're good. You're good. But this gives us hope for the future. It really does, because it's like we've seen a lot in the years that we've been around. We've seen a lot, and to see bright young talent coming to the forefront is really incredible, and it really warms our hearts. So thank you so much, Alex. This has been Veganpreneur Revolution podcast show. I'm your co-host, Kathleen Gage, with my co-host,
Vegan Hawkins here, and it's been such a pleasure having you today and enjoying this conversation with us. So we look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Veganpreneur Revolution podcast. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to the Veganpreneur Revolution podcast show with Vegan Hawkins and Kathleen Gage. Be sure to leave a review, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel. And visit our website at veganvisibilityproductions.com. That's veganvisibilityproductions.com. Have a great day and live healthy.